From 526 to the Naval Hospital to other projects that Charleston County is working on, I sit down exclusively with Charleston County Council Vice Chairman Brantley Moody for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and download my free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. And listen to this interview later on iHeartRadio. Brantley Moody, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. Good to be here, Quintin, as always. Happy New Year to you.
Likewise. You talk about it as a new year. Obviously, when it comes to Charleston County Council, you have been elected the new vice chairman. What do you know now about Charleston County Council that you didn't know before becoming vice chairman?
It can be a full-time job if you let it, and so it's a work-life balance. There are a lot of important issues, and it kind of ebbs and flows. So I mean, sometimes it's not a lot of work during the week, and sometimes it's 40 hours. So, but prioritizing, taking all the calls you can, but especially just getting to know the issues so you can make informed decisions.
What issues are you getting to know right now?
Well, we continue. 526 continues to evolve. Drainage is a big issue right now. We've done a lot of work in West Ashley the last year that I'm very excited about. We've got something pretty cool planned here the next couple of weeks as well that the public will be learning about. So infrastructure is always an issue. Quality of life, people want to they love their home, West Ashley. They want it to be the best it can be, and so do I.
What is the quality of life in your district right now?
Well, getting better. I mean, for instance, the DuWap area, DuPont-Wapu, the county's recently budgeted $700,000 to fix partner with the city for drainage fixes over there. Capri Isle is down Wapu Road. It's a chronic drainage issue. All of the outflows in that neighborhood are on private property. So we spent the last year or two negotiating and working with them to get easements so we can start work back there. Boone Hall Road is behind the old Middleton High School, West Ashley Middle School. The county has found $500,000 to work on flooding back there, and it started to sneak out. But we've got a big Greenbelt project we're working on out in the Church Creek drainage basin. That's a real game changer if we can get that done.
And I'm going to get to that later in this particular interview. But you talk about those easements. I got to ask the question.
Yes.
How many easements are we talking right now?
I think there's about 12 to 14 easements, and so they're on private property. That neighborhood was built, and that's the way it was designed. So the county cannot. Those outflows are crumbling and they're in bad shape. So that's why you have the drainage issues back there. But the county cannot legally go on those properties until the owners give us the permission to. Once they give us permission, we will go in there and clean those pipes out. The ones that are still good, the ones that need to be replaced, we'll replace them, and then we'll add them into our routine maintenance program.
How many pipes are really good right now?
I don't know. I'm not the public works guy, but not many of them.
Sure.
Those things are probably 40 to 50 years old, so there's not many of them that are still functioning well.
And how do you go about negotiations when dealing with something that's on private property?
Well, you kind of let the neighbors do it because the neighbors that are all impacted by the flooding out there. If there's a couple of homeowners that are holding out. The county just has to kind of sit back and let the neighbors take care of that because they'll go to their neighbors and plead with them and really try to impress upon them that it's good for everybody if they'll let the county come in and do the work.
What is that contingency plan?
Well, there's not one, to be honest with you, in Capri Isle, because we've just got to get in those properties and get those drains fixed.
Let me go over to 526 because I want to pick up where Jenny Honeycutt left off with her interview with Kathy Landing on WTMA just a couple of days ago. And she basically says that 526 is obviously on the go.
Yep.
And they wanted, this spring that is, want to identify the preferred alternative in the spring.
Right.
What is that alternative that you all are looking at ideally?
So way back before both Jenny and my time, there were, I believe, 39 alternative routes. And it could have changed by a foot or two, but there were 39 routes. And when 526 just kind of stopped, the environmental went stale, so the county has had to go back through, update all the environmental work, and re-identify what we think is the best route for 526 to take. And we hope to, as Jenny mentioned on the radio, hope to have that identified mid-year, later this spring, hopefully mid-year.
Obviously, this is well underway. How well funded are you guys with this project?
Very well funded. Very well funded. We would not have moved forward if we weren't. So the county has with the State Infrastructure Bank would not have approved it if they didn't believe we could fund it. So we've got it.
Got it. And she also says that the supplemental environment assessment phase is going to happen. Lots of changes have happened since the last time the phase happened. What exactly are you going to assess this time?
Well, the landscape has changed since however old those reports are. So things may have shifted. New birds could have come in. I mean, who knows? Any number of things could have happened. But it is a necessary step to do. It's a frustrating step to do because people, they say, start digging, start digging. Well, nobody wants to get moving faster than we do, but these steps have to get done. I'll give you a perfect example. Glenn McConnell Parkway,
Sure.
which is the extension, adding a lane from Channel 5, which you know well, out to Bees Ferry Road. It's 3 miles. It's a 5-year project. The paving, I'm told, only takes 16 months, maybe 18 months. So it's 3.5 years of environmental noise, all the stuff that has to be done. But the project just takes so long because of these requirements.
How many additional costs are we talking?
Additional
Costs when you think of all these phrases and construction and data that you all.
Well, that's all added into the
Okay.
to the number that the 750. I mean, that's all incorporated into that number that's been thrown about.
Doing about okay. So how much will all this cost altogether in the next 2 years?
So once the preferred alternative is submitted and all the environmental work is done, then we will be able to. And there's some other steps that have to happen, but then we'll be able to really start nailing down the cost. So we don't have that yet. But the 750 is what still when that number was identified 5 or 6 years ago, that was done with 2019 estimates. So we still feel that we're hopeful it'll come in less than that, but 750 is where the number was.
What estimates are you looking at for 2020?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
You talked about the estimates for 2019 when you all looked at.
So what I'm saying is when they did these estimates earlier in the decade, they forecasted using inflation in 2019 dollars.
Wow.
So they said in 2010, 11, whatever it was, we're going to use these numbers, which we think are valid in 2019. So that's what we're basing our work off of.
Sure. And the inflation, what are you looking at right now when it comes to that?
I'm not sure I understand your question, Quintin.
You talked about the inflation earlier when you look. Yeah.
So we haven't. There's nothing to update yet.
Okay.
So once we get a preferred alternative and all the environmental work is done and we start to try to really nail down the cost, it may be that we use current dollars. It may be that we use 2025 dollars, just like they did back then, and said this is what the number will be 5 or 10 years from now.
And if you combine all those dollars, how much would all that be together?
Well, we hope less than 750, but we'll see. We don't know yet.
No yet. Let me move over to the Naval Hospital.
Okay.
Obviously, Jenny Honeycutt talks about obviously the recovered loss that you all was trying to gain on the Naval Hospital. Where are we with that right now in your mind?
Well, it's Quintin, it's bigger than just the Naval Hospital. The Naval Hospital is a huge part of it, but Mr. Cogswell could very well be the hero of the community if he pulls off what we think he could pull off. But in addition to that, our Charleston Center just down the street here, aging facility right in the middle of the medical district. We've got no business being down there, and our citizens and our employees that work there deserve better. And so the value of that property is worth much more than we need. So we need to sell that property. Our 995 Morrison, which down here where the Hope Center and Magistrate Court was located, that's a valuable property that needs to go. And then we have a property up on Rivers Avenue near Cosgrove, the Disabilities Board. So there's just 3 large organizations that we need to get consolidated. So we want to shrink government, get out of expensive maintenance properties that are valuable for the land, get those things gone, get them under one roof in the center of the county where our residents can easily access it. So that's the long-term plan. It'll tie in with the bus rapid transit, be right beside the new Summey Library. So if Mr. Cogswell does what we think he can do with the Naval Hospital in conjunction with those other developments, you've got a real start to revitalizing that community that Mr. Darby has been so adamantly in favor of.
What expensive maintenance properties are you talking about when it comes to the county?
Well, if you think about the Charleston Center down here, it's sandwiched right beside the beautiful new hospitals. Right. It's an old building. It's a hospital, so it has to be kept up to standards. So maintaining old buildings like Morrison Drive, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So when the land that it sits on is 3 times as valuable as the property is worth, it just makes sense to get rid of those properties and get it all consolidated into something nice and new.
What's the value of that property down there at the medical district?
The numbers I heard were $18 to $20 million. So that would be big. And Morrison, we've already sold the air or the right of way over to Laurel Island. We still have the property to sell, and so that's nice. I'm told the disabilities building up on Rivers Avenue could be upwards to $3 million. So when you start to accumulate those dollars, that goes a long way into recovering money from the Naval Hospital and also going towards the construction of the new social services building.
And how much, okay, altogether, once you get all that money back, as far as these properties, how much money will be dispersed into different districts?
Um, I don't think you can really look at it that way, Quentin. To be honest with you, the way I look at it is those are social service buildings.
Okay.
They should be split for social service needs.
Okay.
And so you put it all in the bucket, and that's sort of the way I would look at it. Now, I'm one vote of 9, but that's the way I would look at it.
Look at it. And let me get back to the neighborhood hospital. She talks about obviously support growth in that area. What is growth right now when you think of that district right there on Rivers, Carsgrove, McMillan?
Well, Mayor Summey's been trying for years to get a grocery store there.
Sure.
A grocery store is not going to come where there's not doors, where there's not people. And so if you take that 10-story building and you fill it up with renters or people that live there, and maybe the area's starting to spawn other things, then grocery stores start looking there. You've got bus rapid transit coming through there, so you make it easy to access. You've got a brand new state-of-the-art library coming there. So that's the quality of life that I hope that will come there. And as you know, development, it's good and bad, but it's kind of pinching in towards that area, coming up from the neck, coming down from Park Circle. So, in another 10 years, that place may not look anything like it does right now.
Right now. And let me get back to the Church Creek Plaza.
Yeah.
Obviously, the Greenbelt application is up for grabs, and it sits next to the Church Creek area. And if put into a trust for the St. Andrews Parks, it can't be developed, which would help the basin.
Yes.
What else are you submitting when it comes to this application?
You just pretty much wrapped it up.
Okay.
So Quentin, when I was elected, I grew up in Drayton, right, just down the street from that. That used to be a pretty thriving shopping center. There was a Piggly Wiggly there. There was a VHS before your time. VHS rental place there. A couple of restaurants. When I got elected, I noted that I had 2 dead pigs in my district. One was at Northbridge that I didn't control, but the other was Church Creek, and I really wanted to get something done. So Kathy Ruff and I have been working for about 2 years to try to come up with an idea out there, and this just seems like the perfect fit. So St. Andrews Parks and Playgrounds would be the sponsor of that. They could use those fields for, we got to get that concrete busted up and out of there. They could use those fields for soccer fields, for any number of intramural fields. But it also would serve as an overflow for the Church Creek drainage for the basin area. Real game changer, and also for the residents out there. I mean, truckers park their trucks there. The concrete, there's grass and weeds growing up in there, and they deserve better than that. They don't deserve to look at that every day. So getting that open, nice wide open green space, seeing kids out there playing again, helping solve the drainage issue down there, win.
When will the funds go?
So the appraisals have been ordered right now. That's the first step. Obviously the county and the playgrounds and the owners of the property have been negotiating for about a year now. Yeah. I've just been so excited to tell this story, but obviously we have to keep things kind of quiet until things get a little closer. In fact, there's a meeting tonight out there at St. Timothy's Church on Old Parsonage Road for the public to come out and give some input as to what they'd like to see happen. But appraisals have to be ordered to make sure we've got an indication of value, and we're waiting on those to come in.
And let me go, I guess, I can stay in that area, I guess, because obviously the big talk is about the billboard, which is along Beach Ferry Road. Where are we with that?
Real tricky. The residents obviously are very disappointed in it, but they understand too. It's zoned. The property out there is zoned industrial, which is just do whatever you want to do. Anything can go there. So by right, the owner has the right to put a billboard there. The problem, and I agree with the homeowners, is that they have been trying to negotiate with the owner of the property. The sponsor, Adams Billboard, has been very forthcoming and taking phone calls. They've been really good to work with, but the owner, from what I understand from the homeowners out there, has been not very available and not very willing to work with them. And that disappoints me, because usually with planned developments, the best things happen when the neighbors and the owners come together and neither of them get everything they want.
Right.
And when that happens, that usually means they've met in the middle and there's some good ground. The homeowners have been actively calling and pleading with the owner to come meet with them. And from what I understand, he is not, and that's disappointing.
Let me move from West Ashley to Folly Beach. And this is another subject, and it's always been a subject in this town. That is to save the lighthouse house out there on Folly Beach. Take me down that process. Where are we with that right now?
Well, I don't know. It's funny. You mentioned Jenny earlier. When the agendas came out last week, we've got a special finance meeting tonight to hear from those folks. And I called Jenny. I said, it's her district. I said,
Yeah.
how much? What's the number? And she said, they're not asking for anything. I promise they're not asking for anything yet. I said, well, come on, Jenny. But she said it's a great organization.
Sure.
Back in my baby banker days, my bank at the time used to make some donations to them, and they are very good stewards of the monies they get. And to see that thing lit up, I guess, right at New Year's is pretty cool. And my family vacations, we go to the beach all the time at Folly, so it's a real treasure of Charleston. So I'm happy to hear what their needs are.
You talk about family. Obviously, your father, Bill Moody, is no longer at Charleston City Council. How is he doing right now?
He is tickled to death. He feels like he's been paroled. So, Gary White is a very dear friend of his, and when it became apparent to him that Gary was probably not going to be successful, I think he sort of lost his mojo. So disappointed. You never want to lose, but I think he feels like he's been paroled. But he's doing great.
Great. That's great to hear. Well, Brantley Moody, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to
Always a
Quintin.
pleasure. When you call, I'll come.
Okay. Thank you.
You got it.
Yes, sir.